You know, the decision to overpay for comics when you FOMO, it just doesn't age very well. Or does it? Hey there, I have an unboxing of comic books today. I have an order from Midtown Comics that I placed where some recent books that became uh, more desirable. I don't want to say heated up in some way, but just for some reason, the desirability of certain books, certain recently released books, hyped books, for whatever reason, they jumped. And I missed out on them. And then I noticed that they became available at Midtown Comics, and then Midtown, and it's their right, raised the prices on these. And I bought them anyway, and it was part of this feeling that I have, or an allowance of a feeling that I have, and I allow myself to FOMO every once in a while. I think it's a little unhealthy to always say never FOMO and never just never act on any book, because there are times where I have FOMO'd. I have at the time felt like I overpaid for a book, and then I watched it just continually rise and keep going. Uh, Something is Killing the Children is an example for me of that, where I really caught on around issue 6 or 7, and that's where I started buying those as they came out back in 2019 and 2020, but missed out on the first 5 issues or so, and I totally FOMO'd on those, and at the time felt like I grossly overpaid for my copies of one, my variants of issue number one, all of the late printings, and I was really struggling. Like, am I really investing this much in an independent? And that exercise in FOMO actually has paid off. So sometimes I feel like I have FOMO on top of FOMO, which is I don't want to miss out on a book. I know the price has gone up. I've paid for it. And then I think about some of those instances where my my investment, or my experience with overpaying was actually a good thing, that I acquired the books, because those books took off and have never looked back. So I'm worried twice as much as I normally would when I see a book that I missed out on start to take off. So in this order of comic books, you're going to see a few of these books. And when I was looking at the order details, there are some that I feel like, great, I'm happy with whatever price I paid, and I'm happy that I have them. And then others, I'm already feeling like, boy, if I could do it over again, I would not buy that book. So let's unbox this order and take a look at the comics inside. And then we'll stick around to the end to look at the order analysis, just to see, based on the price that I paid, where have those values gone? Since I ended up placing this order several weeks ago, did the books continue to rise in value? So was that act of FOMO, did it pay off? Or did they slip and come back down to earth and go back to cover price? So let's first look at the books, and then we'll take a look at the order details. So here we go. Okay, here is the order of comics from Midtown Comics. This is the standard medium-sized cardboard box that they send their books in. It's pretty much the way they've been doing it this whole time. They continue to do it this way, so let's go ahead and unbox this. Okay, nice, healthy stack of comics here. I always kind of give it a once over, just see, like, am I dealing with a damaged order? The placement of the bubble wrap, I don't know if you saw, I know it went kind of quick, but the placement of the bubble wrap I think was a little bit better. Sometimes they just place the bubble wrap inside, and then they just rest the books in there, and it just starts to slide around. This one felt a bit more secure, so I'm hoping that there was no damage here. So let's start to take a look at the comics. Okay, Marvel Rising #1. This is the cover A, Audrey Mock cover. All of these characters are going to arrive in one way, shape, or form if they haven't already. Obviously, Captain Marvel. We know Ms. Marvel's coming. Squirrel Girl, animated, live action, not sure. Spider-Gwen, already in Edge of Spider-Verse. America Chavez coming in Doctor Strange. So these are the female characters that Marvel's going to focus on. So I try and grab a lot of these books wherever I can. Something is Killing the Children, #12. This was a cover, I think, that it was, or this issue, I should say, was pretty readily available. By the time 12 came out, people were pretty much on board with this series. But Midtown had this for undercover price, so I grabbed it just because I can't help myself. Okay, so this is one of those books that I talked about, and we're going to go ahead and take it out of the bag and board. This is Thor #20, and this is, according to the data that we have, this is the first appearance of the God of Hammers. So this is the first printing. This is cover A. A little bit of whitening up there in the corner, but not bad. I would say that's acceptable. The spine looks pretty good, for this sort of standard brand new Marvel book. Tiny spine tick right there by the staple, but hard to see. It's not bad. And let's look at the back spine. I really see... before I really should look before I say I see nothing. Right in there are a couple of spine ticks. I think that those could probably be pressed out if need be. I mean, this is a borderline 9.8 candidate. Again, I'll probably end up giving it a 9.6. But it's very well could be a 9.8. In fact, look... God, it's so tough right there. Like, that's the only little nitpicky thing right in there that's keeping it from being a 9.8. I might have to just go 9.8 on it. I'm trying not to think, do I want it to be a 9.8 or is it? I feel like that's really the only problem. And it's so slight, but right there's just a little bit of a twisting in the paper. But I really feel like maybe just a little bit of tack iron work would smooth that out, and then it would be a 9.8. So I'll go 9.6 with the press on that one. So just bear with me as I do want to take a few of these out and look at them. I always indicate on the back of the board the grade, and then if there is any improvement opportunities, I mark it there, and then I add that to my cataloging tracking system so that I can see which books I should work on next. All right, so as far as this book itself, this was a book that I think I overpaid for. It's a brand new release. It went up in value. I missed out. I didn't pre-order. My bad. And I had to pay the price. Literally pay the price. So we'll go over what I paid for this here at the end. But this is one of those things where I completely FOMO'd on this. And I'm looking at it and I'm thinking, was I fooled again by a Kate's story and character? Black Winter all over again, even Null to some degree. Was I fooled? Was I tricked again? Did I really fall for it? And yeah, I did. I totally did. Here it is, right here in my hands. I bought it. So sometimes when you wonder, like, who's out there buying the first appearance of God of Hammers, like aftermarket on the secondary market? This isn't the secondary market, I guess. It's the price from Midtown went up because it was driven by activity on the secondary market. But I'm not buying it from eBay or anything. Anyway, it doesn't matter. I paid more money for this than I feel like I should have. But I totally fell for it. So if you're wondering who are those people, I'm one of those people, unfortunately. Here's Thor 19. I often say if you can't get the keys or you can't get the books that are heating up or increasing in value, maybe get the books around it. So I decided to get Thor 19. Nick Klein art, fantastic. Love that. Got Thor, Sif, Odin here. Really great. But this was the God of Hammer's storyline. This is part one. So I missed a few issues of Thor. Again, like when I went on my hiatus from pre-ordering, which I will do, I'll kind of reset some subscriptions and then just kind of start putting some titles back. I left Thor out for a while because I was kind of down on it, and of course did not pre-order 19 and 20, and those were the two issues of Thor that really took off. So now I have them both at least. This is a book I've purchased before. It was still in stock. Swordmaster #1. I grabbed this because it has ties to Iron Fist, and Swordmaster #1 was there. It is more than cover price, but I still think it's reasonable. The unfortunate one of this is the other thing with Midtown. They have the worst bags and boards, I think. So, I mean, look at this thing. So, it slid around. So, here's extra bag, extra board, right? And then if you look at the back, this is the problem. This is why I always go with the Silver Age bags and boards. So, the book slid off, and it's potentially damaged with a little creasing and folding down there on the corner. So I can always tell that it's got this like the resealable bag and board. It's not the end of the world, but what's happened is I think there's a bit of a fold here, which is now affecting the book. But, you have to get them in transit to you safely, so I get it. But I always rebag all of the books I get from Midtown and end up kind of either saving the bag and board for packing material or throwing them out. It feels very wasteful, but I have to do it. I always do this with IDW books, and I feel like, oh, I got another copy of the Star Wars High Republic Adventures Annual, and I didn't. It's just an advertisement, and I only have one copy of that. So I do get excited each time. But this is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 125. I keep grabbing this just in case the Punk Frogs team becomes a thing, and want to make sure I have some of these in high grade. This one is not. Well, it's relative high grade, but that's probably a 9.4 now, maybe even a 9.2 with some other problems here. So that's unfortunate, but I do keep ordering these. Midtown has had several Ninja Turtles 125 in stock, cover A and B, so I keep grabbing those as well. This was a little bit of an older book, Batman Beyond #50. This was a wish list item. I had wish listed this a long time ago. Great Francis Metapool, black and red cover of Batman Beyond #50, and just wanted to grab this. I never got cover B. I had cover A. I wanted to get that. Amazing Spider-Man 86. This is just a brilliant Art Adams cover there with all the spiders climbing up all over Spider-Man there. So love the cover. Again, issues of Spider-Man that I didn't pre-order that I'm trying to catch up on. And of course, this was this is right before the Goblin Queen at issue 88. So I forgot to pre-order like books basically 85 through 88. So I'm just trying to grab those back and add those into the run. Here is Iron Fist #1. This is the X-Gwen variant. This is Gwen as Domino. Iron Fist #1 heated up in value, and the cover A was sold out. And this was a variant cover. I think some people avoided it because it has nothing really to do with Iron Fist or the new Iron Fist. I'm on the fence with these. This is one of those where I feel like I have to get something. I have to get, and I think I've acquired some cover A's in some orders somewhere, but I'm really on the fence when we've got characters that appear on the cover of some books that aren't in the story. I'm always mixed on that. It's a cool cover. Nothing wrong with Gwen. I'm also not sure what I think about all of the different characters getting something eyes, like Gweniverse-ized or Carnage-ized and things like that. Now we've got, in some of the upcoming issues, we've got the characters as Spider-Man, and I'm buying some of them too, and I just, I don't know. I go back and forth. Uh, Here is an incentive of Iron Fist #1. Now, for me, this book had a lot going for it, so I wanted to pay for it. Iron Fist #1, as I just mentioned, uh, heated up in value. We have the new Iron Fist and the original Iron Fist right here on the cover. Lenio Francis Yu, I'm such a sucker for his books. And the best part is he doesn't have to draw eyes on this one, which is what he loves to avoid drawing eyes if possible. But his formation of the human body and everything, it's very, he has such a realistic style. He's just a great comic book artist, one of my favorites. So it's really, really hard for me. Like his proportions, it's well proportioned art, and always very dynamic. And I love Yu's artwork. So this was an incentive cover of Iron Fist #1. So again, the cover A's took off, which then, you know, rising tide raises all boats, and the incentives and the X-Gwen and all of that started to push it. And so I ended up paying more for this than if I did on a pre-order. But it's kind of what I've talked about before. I knew that there was heat on the book already, so I paid a little bit more, but had I bought a ton of incentives, I would have lost money. So anyway, here is Moon Knight #6. Again, books I missed out with pre-ordering that I went back and grabbed. Just trying to get as many of the new Moon Knight run issues in that run as I can. Invincible Red Sonja. This one has several things going for it. Speaking of artists, I love Frank Cho, always great, and was able to get this they call it like the outrage cover, but essentially it's a black and white, so you can kind of see Cho's line work here. He's always great, and grabbing, several other copies of Invincible Red Sonja kind of fill out that run as well. Hulk #2. This one I have a few copies of now. I feel like I'm caught up with my back issues of Hulk. So this one just kind of slipped into my cart. It's still cover price, so I grabbed that one. Gunslinger Spawn #3. This is the cover A. This almost looks like it's animated, like an animated style cover. So Gunslinger Spawn, it's such a cool character design. I really don't know where this is headed, but I'm grabbing several of the first issues of Gunslinger Spawn and just kind of putting them away. Iron Man 17, this is an interesting one. The alternate cover by Sway with Riri on it is gorgeous. It's absolutely gorgeous. Missed out on that one. So this is just, it's a whole box of FOMO, really. And this isn't even the book. This is the cover A. But I'm a big Iron Man fan. And when I saw it, I'm like, well, shoot, it's Alex Ross. And gosh, you can see the eyes in there. Like, it's so cool. There's so much depth there. And I was like, God, I got to have the cover A too. So I grabbed cover A on this one. But man, can't go wrong with Alex Ross. And some of the like headshot or close-up variants, I can kind of take or leave those, but I couldn't help but pass this up. But I was so like laser focused on trying to find the Sway cover that I totally ignored cover A. And when I looked at it, I'm like, okay, yeah, I'll take one of those. More cover artists that I love. Adam Hughes on this one. This is Black Widow #14. It's a Legacy 54 on Black Widow, but my goodness, like, it's just, I don't want to say like we're just spoiled, but I mean, it's crazy the amount of good art that we are getting on our books these days, and great creators as well. Not every book is a slam dunk, but some of the I guess the chatter, again, it's like creators moving to Substack and moving away from Marvel, and certainly DC, as DC's turning into a big dumpster fire, and independence and Image and everything. So all the great creators are moving away from Marvel and stuff. But I mean, as long as I can still get books like these, I'm pretty happy. I'm very fortunate. And if you have Art Adams doing covers, I mean, that's pretty crazy and awesome as well. Here is Amazing Spider-Man 90. The one thing I'll say about Adams, he's great. I love Adams, but sometimes it comes off just a little like cartoony, cheesy. I'm not an artist. I couldn't draw like he does. But like the background characters to me look like characters I would expect to see from Adams. Great facial expressions, and then a hint of realism, but also cartoonish in a way. And then the Goblin Queen just, I don't know. I'm again, I feel like I'm forcing myself to buy Goblin Queen, even though it's Red Goblin all over again, but I still get him. It's hard to pass up on Art Adams' book. Here's Thor 22. This is a variant cover for Thor 22. Great looking cover here. Again, just trying to pick up any issues related to the God of Hammers. Want to make sure that I don't miss out on any of those or any additional appearances. So this one's backwards. Let's open this one up here and see. Oh, yeah, another Invincible. Well, no, this is the Valentine's Day Red Sonja, excuse me. Another black and white version. I'm going to give it a quick look here. I see a little bit of an issue there, or I could be seeing things. The last one I got from Midtown was a 9/8 candidate. This one looks like it has like a little scratch up here, right there. Oh yeah, and there's some dimples in the spine, some denting. Yeah, so this is not a 9/8. Like a 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, this is probably in the 9/4 category now. So let me go ahead and put that in a bag and board real quick. Kind of back into that buy what you know, buy what you love sort of category. Okay, so this was one of the bigger books that I paid for, and this is Daredevil Woman Without Fear. I did pop this open and grade it already. 9.6, I believe it is a pressing candidate. There's a couple of little twists on the back cover in the paper that I think Attack Iron may be able to get out by itself. If not, then a full press. There's also just some general wrinkling on the cover, but it's very, very minor. This is just amazing. This was, again, a book that I feel like the demand and the value of this book grew kind of on its own. I think that while if you saw it and you wanted to pre-order it, you're grabbing it if you had any question. But there's so much to love about this cover. The nostalgia, the older look and feel, the homage to Marvel Age. Just absolutely fantastic Elektra as Daredevil cover. The yellows, the colors, going back to that sort of newsprint style. Just absolutely amazing. Probably right up there with the Red Sonja Valentine's Day cover for me as far as cover of the year. Could be like 1 and 1A. Really, really amazing. So I splurged on this one, and this is an incentive, and I grabbed this. But again, I got it after the fact, meaning I saw that the heat built on this one. It was in several top 10 lists, and then was able to acquire it and paid for it. Had to pay extra for it to get it, and I love it. Actually, having it here physically, being able to look at it is amazing. Just love it, love it, love it. The last book is another candidate for. I feel like I got all three sort of what my covers of the year candidates all in one order. This is Catwoman 39, and this is the Sozamaika cover. She's the same artist that did the Valentine's Day Red Sonja. And what's interesting on this one is I missed out on the cover A incentive that she did, and this is a recolored second print, but it's open order. So this is not a second print incentive. It's just an open order cover A, and this is just amazing. So I don't know what this means in terms of the value of the incentive. Like, does the incentive on cover A become more or less desirable because it was reprinted? And I don't know, but I have the second print. I think it's gorgeous. I love it, and I'm happy to have the second print. So those are the books I got. Lots of great stuff here. Still kind of on the fence with, did I overpay? Did I underpay? And really, there's only one way to find out. It's to look at the data in the order. So let's take a look at the order details and the breakdown of what I paid and the values and see how everything worked out. All right, here we go. Here is the order breakdown for this order from Midtown Comics. It was placed March 1st of 2022, and it was a total cost of $188.33. I paid $16.34 tax, and I unlocked free shipping due to the amount of the order, and then I spread the $16 of tax across the total cost of each book so that it lines up nicely at $188.33 even. So let's kind of look at this. These are newer books, so we don't have to get into the grade and the CGC value. We can strictly just look at this fair market value comparison here from the total cost. So from a raw value perspective, that is column AA. If we go to the total, according to the data, looking at what I paid for the books and comparing the total cost with cover price as fair market value, it appears that I added over $53 of value to my collection by purchasing these books. Now, it's always not that simple, right? You're looking at grade and everything, but the theory is if I took all of these books and listed them on eBay, I should be able to sell them around fair market value. And if I did that, then I would profit roughly $53. So basically saying I would sell all of these books for somewhere around $240. Now I'm not doing that. I'm curating these. I'm adding these. I'm grading them. I may send these off for professional grading. I may press them. Who knows, right? So these are just books that I'm adding to my collection. But what I'm trying to do is always try to add books of value and try to pay an appropriate amount for the books. So let's talk about that for a second, because I do feel that I overpaid here, and clearly the numbers will show you that. So right off the bat, the glaring book for me is that Thor 20. I paid $27.78. That was an open order cover A, right? So that's where I'm sitting here going, did I really do that? What was I thinking at the time? And yes, I really did it. And the cover price fair market value of that book is $15.48. So I lost essentially over $12. So again, what that's telling you is you could go to eBay or to other places, even an LCS that might be marking up that book, and it should be somewhere probably a $12 to $15 book, which I think is way more reasonable than $27. But that's what I did, and I took a chance, and that didn't pay off. Now, with me losing $12 on that book, how did I end up positive? The big winner here was that Daredevil Woman Without Fear, the Fornes variant, number 2. So I paid a total cost of $32.28. It currently has a fair market value of $64. I love that cover. I've been asking around, which covers do you think might be a cover of the year? I feel like that one now might be out in front for me. There's just something about it. It's clicking for me. I love it. So that one, I almost doubled my money. So $32 spent, $64 fair market value, and you can see here the raw value add. So that book alone is driving it. So then you think, well, okay, so sometimes you do want to take a chance. Not that book was open order or anything, but it was certainly an expensive book. Just to kind of round out the discussion here, here's another one, Invincible Red Sonja. That's the line art variant. I paid $5.27 for that. Oh no, I'm sorry. That was that was the Cho variant. I'm sorry. I paid $5.27 for the Cho variant, and it has a fair market value of over $10. The Valentine's Day Red Sonja special still came out ahead, paying $18.78, and it has a $24.62 fair market value. So many of these were around FMV or, just a touch below or several dollars above. Something is Killing the Children 12 paid $4.82. It has a fair market value of over $12. It was just the Thor book that was really that Thor 20 that really kind of put everything behind. Let's look at the other incentive, Iron Fist. $27.78 for that Lenio Francis Yu incentive cover. It has a fair market value as we speak of $37.30. So even in that one, almost a $10 gain of value on that one. So I don't know if I can really draw too many conclusions here or like give myself some advice on this, like, hey, stay away from those books, don't FOMO, because you end up kind of riding the wave. And if you're thinking about a book that starts to take off in value, of course you want to get it at the lowest possible point, right? We all do, but we don't all have that sort of knowledge to understand this is the book that's going to take off. Um, Even with the sort of like comic bro YouTube stuff, Facebook back channel, private chat, conspiracy theory, cabal groups out there that seem to know that these books are going to take off. It's not that they know, it's that they've decided this is the book that we're going to hype. This is the book that we're going to push. And there is usually that book probably once a week. There's that one book where you're scratching your head like, okay, that one's valuable for some reason. And it's because it's being hyped behind the scenes. There are other books that just sort of organically grow in value. And a lot of times with those that are organically growing, they're starting off and then they start to spike. And then that's kind of where I look to catch on. And the hope is you catch on and then you just ride the wave. Sometimes you catch on and you're paying and you don't realize it, and that's the peak, right? And then it starts to kind of settle in where Thor 20, I would say that book is going to be about a $10 book, right? Now that I've seen the decline, I've seen that particular character is not, I mean, it does feel like another Black Winter type. It's kind of like a, now that I've read it, it's sort of the essence of Mjolnir. It's not like an Mjolnir in human form. It's just energy. So I'm not going to critique the story per se, but is that really a long-lasting character that we're going to see over and over again in the MCU? Possibly, but it doesn't feel like it has the staying power as maybe a new, younger Iron Fist would, or that Elektra Daredevil Woman Without Fear may, right? So that's where I have a little bit of regret. Like, I should have been smarter about that. I should have understood that. I should have understood the creator and the process and all of that. But again, we all can't predict the future, but I don't really see anything wrong with paying more for a book where maybe it's increased in value, but it's just building up that wave of value and demand where it looks like, man, why would you pay so much for that when you could have pre-ordered it for $15, or you could have pre-ordered the cover A for $2 or $3? Why are you paying 10 or 20? Well, if you pre-order everything, you end up losing money even if you win with the one book. And that's the kind of debate that I'm having with myself is, how do I pre-order? What should I pre-order? Should I pre-order incentive? Should I stay away? And part of me feels like I want to sit back after the first week or two of release, and I want to see collectively what the community feels like is a book to have or a book with potential. And then if I can find it and it costs a little bit more, great. If I can't find it, then I pass. And it's not really FOMOing or having to deal with FOMO. It's really around supply and looking at the supply. And one of the things you can do is, if a book heats up quickly, go on eBay and see, are there 50 copies listed all at $20, $30, $50, right? Are they all like a crazy new release price point? Those, to me, you can kind of tell. Those are the ones that were projected to be hyped by some entity out there. But if a book kind of organically grows and the supply is low, and then all of a sudden it appears and it's kind of within your budget, I like to grab those. And that Daredevil Woman Without Fear book is a perfect example of a book that I think caught people off guard, was low supply, and then I just happened to use the tools at my disposal, like the wish lists, and when it popped up, I grabbed it. I didn't hesitate. So I knew I was going to have to spend a little bit more money for it, but that one felt like an organic growth of demand and not something that was being pushed on us. So there you go. I'd love to hear your feedback on sort of that concept of pre-ordering, overpaying for new releases, FOMO, and all of that stuff. I think it's something that we all kind of have to deal with as part of the hobby. And obviously, as you can see, I'm still debating and kind of dealing with it myself and figuring out the best approach. But really appreciate you watching. Happy collecting, and see you next time.